Okay, welcome to episode number 46. How is everybody doing?
Doing good, thank you.
All good.
It seems like we're all coronavirus free right now, but you never know by the time this episode is released. Make sure you keep
there's
those hands washed.
a lot of news, a lot of fear around sort of coronavirus. So you're here with Olu, Shual, Pabilo, and Daniel. So Shual, why do you guess? Shual, why do you get us into the episode and what we'll be discussing today?
I will get us into episode number 46. But before that, I just wanted to say a very, very quick, big thank you to all our amazing listeners around the world. As we approach this episode 50 milestone, we're very excited about what the future holds for Take Flight Podcast. And we've had a lot of discussions recently, and I think for episode 50 to 100, we've got lots of great ideas, lots of new ideas, and lots of exciting things that are coming up. So please, if you like this episode, please share it with your friend. Please share it with your family. Please give us feedback. Follow us on Instagram if you're not following us already. And yeah, just please continue to support us, because without that, we wouldn't be able to continue growing week over week. Now, just to quickly kick off what the episode will be about before I give it over to Olu for his famous catchphrase before the song. This week, we'll be talking about coronavirus. So the big question is it actually impacting us for real, or is it just media scaremongering? We'll talk about how it's potentially affected our travel plans this year, the impact it's potentially having on work. What could the longer term impact be? And again, is the media really making this a lot worse than it really is? So stay tuned for a great discussion. Olu, over to you.
Stay tuned and let's get started.
Take off, take flight with you. We never fly, but we're flying.
Right, so guys, coronavirus. Daniel, because you're normally the facts and figures man. Coronavirus, what is the code or name for coronavirus?
COVID-19.
COVID-19. Now, it's great that we're talking about this, because today, a project that I've been working on in my day job has actually been impacted because of the potential risk of coronavirus. So not only has the markets been continuously in decline, but it's actually having a real life impact on me. So what I want to understand from you guys is, before we get into what we think the media is doing or not, has it actually impacted any of you guys so far? Has it affected any of your day-to-day, or it's just completely normal if you wouldn't switch on the TV or look at the news?
I'll be honest with you. When I first heard about coronavirus, I was like, oh, okay, it's just another sort of virus. We hear about these every so often. I didn't think it was going to be as serious as this one seems, right? You get a lot of businesses doing their financial results, and it felt like they were just using the excuse of coronavirus for everything. It was like, oh, our sales are going to be down due to coronavirus, due to this. Even if it was like a company that had zero manufacturing or supply chain in China, they were just using it to sort of give their financial results, right? But as it sort of continued to go on, I'm starting to feel the impact on myself and just in our industry, in our company, even with some of the side hustles that we deal in. I think a few people know we deal in properties. I've seen a decline in the amount of people relocating and moving around. So you'll be surprised how it's sort of the fear of traveling, moving around has sort of stopped people. Even myself, I've sort of reduced. I don't really take public transport that often, but I've reduced the amount of times I go on public transport. And in the back of my mind, I'm a little paranoid. The next, like someone coughs next to you, you're like, "Ooh, are you sure?" Like you get home, you want to take a shower as soon as you get home, etc. So I think initially, go on.
No, go ahead.
I think initially, I didn't think it would have an impact on me, but as it's slowly continued, I'm starting to see it have more of an impact on sort of my work and stuff.
So when you said your work as well, what have you seen at work? In which sense? Have meetings been cancelled or what?
So we, CFO and our exec sent out an email saying there's no business travels unless critical, especially as the virus expanded to Italy, because I work in the oil industry. We have a lot of business and employees in Italy. So any business travels to Italy, from Italy, people traveling cancelled. China as well, like all travels have just been cancelled. So, yeah.
So P, what about in your case? Because obviously you're right now in real estate Donald Trump mode, and you're kind of managing your own time. So I'm actually interested if in your world at the moment you've seen any impact yet or not.
No, it's funny. It's interesting when Olu mentioned about he's starting to see sort of a trickle effect onto actually property. So is it sort of impacting the number of people that want to view some of the rooms that you have available? Seriously?
Yeah, is the level of tenant. So what we normally do is we look at spare room and we see how many available properties there are versus how many tenants, and we saw a decline during the same sort of time. And I'm not using it as an excuse for not being able to.
It sounds like you are. It sounds like you are. No, you know, at first, so in all honesty, at first, when I started to see it sort of outbreak on the news, I was thinking, okay, similar to Ebola. I think someone said this thing was quite funny. Like Africans have been, not all Africans, I'm not generalizing, but have been eating bushmeat for so many years, and now you have this thing called Ebola. The same thing with people that are eating this sort of, what is it, coming from bat meat? Apparently, this is the virus is coming from.
Some say it's seafood.
I feel like Daniel may know the answer to that one.
No. I've got stuff to say.
So they've been eating it. So they said they've been eating this stuff for years, and now we have something called this coronavirus. So at first I was thinking, okay, it's another sort of distraction for maybe some of the things that are happening behind the scenes. And then once that sort of passed, I mean, I'm not really too into sort of conspiracies, but that was sort of playing on my mind in the beginning. And then I started to pay more attention to the fact that the virus is more impacting those that are elderly. So I was thinking, my parents, Lauren's parents, they need to be a bit more careful in terms of traveling into London. They need to definitely be a bit more cautious in what they're doing. For us personally, it hasn't changed much. I think the only thing it probably does do is make you think twice about going into London. Me personally, about networking events that are taking place.
Because I know you're a guy. You're a guy that exactly. You're a guy that shakes a lot of hands, Pete. So you're still shaking hands.
No. we're doing the spot, you know.
That's it.
Even
but no, I think I was in Tesco's. I was at Tesco's the other day, and I saw the guy in front of me like 2 trolleys of toilet tissue. And at first, because he's quite a big guy, I thought, well, maybe that's just what he uses and the general use. And only till I got home and I started seeing the news of people stocking up, I was thinking, well, he's basically doing it because of that.
But I don't understand that. Why are people stacking up on?
We'll get to that.
I don't know.
No.
I know keeping so much gems. Jump in, bro.
I think. Just to answer yours.
Tag me in, bro.
I'm coming. Just to answer the first question.
Tag me in, bro.
It hasn't really changed much of what I'm doing because I'm younger in it, so I don't think it's going to impact me. Daniel.
Tag me in, bro. Hit my hand.
Come on. I got you.
Elbow. Yeah, cool. So, for those who don't know, coronavirus actually stemmed from Wuhan in China. Mm-hmm. And the initial person who detected it, unfortunately, he died, he died last month in February. And he was also told by the police to stop spreading such rumors and false news that, he was, I think, threatened with imprisonment. But what really, 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 really irks me is the media.
Yeah.
The media are instilling fear into everyone. The media shouldn't report on medical issues which they're not experts in. Because, like P said...
Wait. So should we be reporting?
We're not reporting. We're talking about...
Okay, cool. Just making sure. We're not
giving stats and figures and say, this is what's happening, this is what you should do. Because I know I was washing my hands since I was a kid and told to wash your hands. But
Daniel, that is the most frustrating thing. I'm seeing people teaching people how to wash hands now.
No, I can understand.
You're on that. Because there was one point.
But the proper way is to start from your wrist.
Yeah, but people should have learned that as a child. Like,
there was speaking of stats. Yeah, there's a stat of 8 million people in the UK
don't
wash only like once a week.
Yeah.
So this virus. This virus, I swear, this virus now is encouraging people to wash more.
Dirty pigs. Anyway, like
seriously,
yeah, trust me. But the thing is, the reason why the media really irk me is because you're more likely to die from influenza than you are from coronavirus. Yes, there are a lot of cases that have come to the surface, but the fatality rate is very, very low. And for those who don't know, and P alluded to it, and it's also been said, of those that unfortunate deaths that have taken place, these are people that have had probably existing respiratory infections, and then it's obviously going to cause you a problem. You know, there are things that have been before this, like MERS, which is Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, which is similar to coronavirus. That's been around for some time.
You're going deep.
Go on, Daniel.
People always
Go on, big man. Go on.
You're going deep. Yo, sit back. Yo.
People also, you know, relating this or comparing this to SARS as well, where there was, you know, that was a big outbreak. But the fact is, more people, I think in the last week alone in the US, 5,000 people died from influenza. Where's the reports on that? Where are the reports of people that die from homelessness every day? Where are the reports of people that die from suicide on a daily, weekly basis? They don't do that because the media like to jump on the bandwagon of what's the latest thing, what can they use for clickbait to make money, etc., etc. Because are we forgetting we're in the third month of the year? Have we not already escaped World War III threats? Have we not escaped Australian bushfires? Have we not escaped volcanic eruptions? They've all come and gone. Watch, this thing is on purpose by the media. They like to spread this fear mongering because we go into shops, you can't buy toilet roll, you can't buy pasta, you can't buy hand sanitizer. Before that, it was all stocked up on the shelves, but now you can't buy it in sight.
But Daniel, what's the toilet paper thing? You didn't explain. Why are people stacking up? I want to understand this toilet paper. People are stacking up on things that last long. So toilet paper, pasta, rice.
They don't last long. They don't last long in my house.
But okay, that's the thing.
I tell you what doesn't last long in
bags of
house. Custard. Keep that away.
Ambrosia. No, but the
I still don't understand the toilet paper because they're thinking long term. I don't know why. There's other ways to wash your without toilet paper. You know, there's people that don't use toilet paper.
I know, but people are starting. The media started this. The supermarkets didn't help because in the entrance stores they started putting these long-lasting items like toilet roll, pasta near the entrances, which of course psychologically you're going to go for now. And because the media are doing it, people are now doing it. So I'm sure if you go to the supermarket, ask someone, "Oh, why are you doing this?" Because everyone else is doing it, and I don't want to be left out. That's why they're doing it. And the more people are doing it, the more it's become a habit.
Yeah, Daniel, speak on the mask. Apparently, medical experts have said that it doesn't work.
I've actually got a mask from Japan.
Is that from Japan? Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason for the mask isn't to stop you from spreading germs. Yes, it can help.
It's for keeping it.
The reason for a mask, a surgical mask, is to stop you from touching your nose and your mouth. So that's how these viruses are spread, because obviously it's got to get into your system somehow. So I think they say, I don't know, 9,000 times or more a day we touch our face. So if you're obviously touching handles, you're touching things, we're going to do things that then we're going to touch our mouth. So it prevents you from putting whatever's on your hands onto your face or into some sort of canal that can consume that virus. It's not to stop you from spreading. It doesn't protect you. However, yes, it can protect you from, of course, sneezing. But if you sneeze and you don't hold it in and you sneeze into the mask, then you've got a virus that's just building and building. And they say that the coronavirus can last on surfaces for up to 7 days, I believe. So it's spread by droplets. So if you're coughing or sneezing, these droplets spread. And the way they advise that if you're going to cough, if you can't cough into a tissue handkerchief or sneeze, you cough into your elbow. But what you have to remember is the virus is going to then, if you have the virus, it's going to stay on your clothing. And if we have the stat of people not washing, once a week, what hope do we have with their clothes?
But can I just very quickly on that topic? When you wash your hands, you're supposed to wash your hands for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Who can honestly say out of this group that when you wash your hands, you wash it for 20 seconds?
Depends what I've been doing. Like if I've been outside, touching the bins and stuff and dirt.
You man sure?
It depends if I'm feeling myself. If I'm feeling good, I might be there for a little bit longer. Do you know what I mean?
Looking at yourself in the mirror.
If I like my nails, how they looking, I might be there a little bit longer. no, come on, 20 seconds.
Because that's actually the recommended time. So I think that's how
sing happy birthday or something.
Yeah,
exactly. I think you're supposed to sing it twice, no?
Twice, yeah. Sing happy birthday. And when I went to church today, the pastor was like, "It's enough time to say a prayer. So wash your hands, say a quick prayer,
I think the Muslims are good because they're washing their hands 5 times a day, plus any toilet sessions. So I think we're good, man.
But another thing is like on
Ablution is
transportation.
solid.
You guys mentioned about not touching things or going into London. I don't necessarily. I'm not one to touch handrails or public doors or things like that.
Yeah, I get into all of that.
Even the transport, because I've seen people sneeze on their hand and then touch the handrail. I'm like, think man, that is dirty. Someone yawned in my face. I looked at him. I said, cover your mouth.
Oh, mate.
This wasn't recently. This was like a long time ago. But people just yawn in the morning with their dirty breath. And it's like, this isn't cool.
That's just
Daniel,
Yeah.
Daniel, have you heard the conspiracy? Have you heard the conspiracy story? There was a book that was released in
I saw that.
Guys,
Right, say that again. I don't know this one.
I saw
so
that.
there was a book. There was a
One
book
person at a time.
released in 19.
One person at a time.
You done? You finished?
Okay, sure.
Good. He was behind. No, there was a book released in 1981 called "The Eyes of Darkness," which basically predicted this virus. So it predicted the region within China where this virus will happen, the year in which it would happen, and it was basically like it would come and it would go away as quick as it came, but then it will repeat itself 10 years down the line. So 2030, there might be another virus coming.
But the same. Guess who else predicted that?
Who else predicted that?
Simpsons predicted.
Yeah, no, I'm about to say that as well. Yeah.
Did they? There was an episode of that.
Simpsons predicted Ebola, Trump. Anyway.
So
I have a question for you.
What I find quite interesting, it makes you question. Let's say, for example, how you would react to say a virus.
We're being controlled.
No, but that's one thing. But I'm saying, let's say, for example, it makes you question how prepared are you in the event of crisis. So let's say, for example, the internet stopped, like it was down for 2-3 months. How could we survive?
The world would stop.
We wouldn't be releasing any episodes of Take Flight podcast.
But the thing is,
I think that'd be the least of our worries. But anyway,
but the thing is that can happen because sometimes countries and governments, they shut down internet in certain regions if they don't want things to be spread or news to be spread about what's going on in a particular area. Turkey did that last week because of the whole Syria-Turkey conflict. And they shut down social media.
Daniel's reporting live and direct.
What people can't see is Daniel's got a solid glass of whiskey in his left hand. They just They're just shaking around like this.
I have a question for you, each of you. Do you think this virus is man-made? Olu first. Yes or no?
That's the thing.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
All right.
And I said Olu first.
Do I believe the virus is man-made? Yes,
I
do. Same as Ebola. I would say same as when I was like with Ebola and all these viruses. I do believe they're man-made.
But can I just clarify though? When you guys say man-made, what do you mean?
Someone created the virus
and put it out.
Through the factory, and then they put it out.
I do believe that this is controlled.
Look at Sean's face. No, I do.
There's a lot of conspiracies.
But my thing is, I'm not like.
I don't know if I'm on that wave, boys.
Go on.
Okay, then wait. Sorry, Shuel, you know the hospital that they created for people to quarantine them in China? Yeah. Why all of a sudden, now that they're in the hospital, they're in that hotel, it's collapsed. They're dead.
But I don't know, bro.
The thing is, Shuel,
I'm not saying they've done it. I'm just saying it just raises question marks.
No, for sure. But I just think, like, as a like, if you think about how much has been kind of wiped off the stock market, how much disruption has been made, even for China itself, how much this has slowed down their economy and everything. It's difficult for me unless I see the fact directly in front of me in black or white or in somewhere. It's difficult for me to believe that it's man-made. But this is just my opinion at this stage.
Olu, go ahead. Olu, what were you gonna say?
No. I do believe it's man-made. Do I understand what intent the virus was? No. Created. Do I feel like it could have reached a point where it got out of control? Yes. So a lot of people were saying that how in terms of China, right, they can have more extreme controls against the virus. Like if hopefully speculation, this is not Olu's views, just in case the Chinese government are listening. But if they wanted to lock people in a building, they could do it, right? and no one could stop them. There's not the human rights sort of laws that they have in Europe now. But now that this virus is spread all over the world and to Europe, we don't have the strict controls in place to sort of control this virus. So it could reach a point where it goes out of hand. And that might be the area where the media might not be causing fear factor. And it might be an area where it was initially man-made. It's now come over to Europe. And because we don't have the same level of control that places like China would have, that it could spread to a place where it's uncontrollable. And unfortunately, it could have a larger impact than it currently has. Because currently, I think they said only 3% of people have died based on this.
The UK is like 1 or 2 cases, man.
It's 3 cases, yeah. 3
But,
cases.
no, four people passed away today.
But I reckon it was.
The funny thing is, there was something on CNN, and they looked so shocked and surprised. They're like, is the continent Africa reporting the number of cases accurately? Because they're thinking, why are there no cases being reported in Africa?
Oh, no, they're trying to disrespect.
No, there was one case reported in Nigeria.
Yeah,
there was
from Italy. The guy traveled from Italy.
Traveled from Italy.
But
put it this way. The first thing I did when I started to see this virus the first thing I went on Google and I tapped in US and Iran. What's going on there? because in terms of Schwartz not awake, cuz Schwartz not awake.
In public affairs or coronavirus?
What do you mean in public affairs?
Current affairs. Sorry, current affairs or coronavirus?
In current affairs.
Okay, cool.
Not coronavirus, US and Iran. Cool. I wanted to understand what was going on there in terms of tension.
Okay, but what's the link?
This guy, bro. But I don't think Schwartz not at the horses yet. He's not there.
But the thing is,
my point is
going on Lesbos that they're not reporting about.
It's a distraction. It's a distraction to take you away from the things that are actually happening.
100%.
Some of the more extreme events that are taking place.
Couldn't agree more.
Because without the virus, you have to basically report on. I mean, let's not forget they assassinated. I don't know what this guy was. Was he the president or something in Iran? Not too long ago, and I saw a clip where
he was the head of the army or something like that.
He was head of the army, and then I saw a few clips around his funeral, and the number of people that came together. It was a war waiting to happen, and I watched a few people sort of. Give interviews and explain that we're not going to rest until we get revenge.
Revenge, yes.
And the Middle Eastern countries, I would know especially, if they say stuff like that, especially the public people, they're not playing around. So then but then if I ask you, when was the last time you heard anything about the US and Iran? What would you say? You haven't.
But then
that's what I said. The World War III stuff is gone.
You haven't.
But on that particular angle, though, Iran has actually suffered the most out of probably one of the other countries apart from China with coronavirus.
Is it?
It's because Italy's
like their minister of health got infected and like a lot of their cabinet members.
Because even in Italy, it's been reported that there now 6,300 people have been confirmed.
And that's why I don't believe it's one country that's released this because you can't control.
Well, I think we're kind of moving away from the. We're like kind of moving into the conspiracy world, which is like a whole new podcast in itself. But
she was getting scared.
So wait. The question of any of you guys traveling?
Yeah, exactly. That was the question I had.
Because I see some cheap-ass flights. If Daniel, if both of you think this is a conspiracy,
and get on a plane.
You can get a cheap flight to China for cheap amount. If you guys are willing to risk it.
But the thing is, my volunteering trip, which was to happen next in April, has been cancelled.
Oh, it got cancelled.
Wow. Mine's got cancelled. Watch it. To Malawi. That's been cancelled.
They're giving back.
The one that you didn't donate to, P. That one, yeah.
Yes.
So that trip's been cancelled.
Pockets are deep, brother. Don't try. Go on.
What, about 10 days ago, they sent an email.
Zaka.
And there were
2.5 cuts. So go ahead.
So
Daniel, you said it got cancelled. No.
Yeah, so they sent an email, and to be honest, I'm upset because it was to actually be on my 30th birthday doing something I enjoy doing. So they cancelled it due to the fact that because people were coming from all parts of the world through different cities, they don't want to take a risk to bring something that is at the moment seems to be so severe and so easily widespread into a region on population where it could, essentially take out a vulnerable population. So the organization decided to cancel all trips up until May for now, and close to the time they may review it and cancel May and beyond. So what they've offered is that we can get a refund if you paid, or we can transfer that money to a trip, another trip later in the year, which is what we're going to do.
So Daniel, on that one, did they give you a heads up first, or it was just straight boom cancelled?
Straight boom cancelled, no heads up.
Man, that's annoying.
And it was really like, I was actually very upset because I didn't want to celebrate my birthday. Put it that way. I wanted to.
So now, before we maybe ask the others what their travel plans are, now that you have that gap in your calendar, are you going to use that as an opportunity to actually go away somewhere or not?
So
Bahamas is nice that time of year, bro.
Sorry.
Bahamas is nice that time of year.
Oh,
if you go free in your calendar.
So
as long as he's not using our donation money.
The annual leave is still a bit difficult for this year in terms of because of other travel and other commitments.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm deliberating on whether to go to somewhere in Europe for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, I don't want to be. I'm not afraid of the coronavirus. I'm more. I don't want to be disappointed of booking something and then the airline then decide to cancel it.
Okay.
Speaking of airlines, did you see what happened to I think we haven't touched on what the coronavirus has done to some of the businesses out there.
Yeah, Flybe, yeah. Even Apple.
What happened to Apple?
Obviously, their phones are manufactured in China. The parts they shut down 42 stores in China. They've since reopened some of them, but all of I think they're expecting an 86 billion loss in this quarter.
How much?
86 billion.
Oh, you see, the money game is fake, man. It's crazy.
But that's why you should be investing in the stock market right now.
So I don't know. Warren Buffett, Delta.
Yeah, he's taking some positions. But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys getting rich during this period, man. It's
That's why they say invest when people are fearful.
Exactly.
But before we jump to the business topic, who else has got travel plans over the next weeks or months, and have they had to adjust?
So I'm starting to think about where to go because I've got to use this time. Well.
Oh yeah, what you should. I thought
He's always looking for a bargain.
I thought P was 10 toes down the other day, and I was talking to you about.
Hey, P,
I've been 10 toes down on this rent to rent. Got a new strategy going on. Holiday. Big man.
You can get a cheap cruise.
I might bust out for a month, cuz. A cheap cruise. No. Speaking of cruise, yeah. Speaking of cruise, have you heard about the cruise off the shore of California?
The one that they were fighting.
The cruise ship. So basically, on this cruise ship, yeah, there's a few cases of coronavirus, and they've said you're not gonna come in.
Sure.
We're gonna leave you out there, and we're only gonna basically provide you with supplies by helicopter. And people have said the ones that are on the ship that don't have the coronavirus, they said, listen, this is a death sentence. Why can't you? How can you not allow us? Yeah, I know it's not funny. It's not funny, but yeah, that's
it's not funny.
That's
because...
I think we got to look out for the elderly.
I think, yeah.
You're sure you need to stop laughing? I think we need to.
No, I'm not, man. I'm not. I'm just covering my teeth.
The elderlies are getting locked off, cuz.
Every time I've been on the phone to my parents for the last 2 weeks, every time the first question they ask me is, "Where in the world are you?" They say, "Where in the world are you?" I'm like, "I'm here." They're like, "Don't fly, don't go anywhere. Why are you flying? Why doing this?" They think I'm going to get coronavirus. My dad genuinely had a conversation. I just had a general conversation. How you doing? How's this? Blah blah blah. I should laugh. And then we. Sorry. We hung up the phone. I hung up. I literally got off the phone. He calls me back 2 minutes later. And he said, "Did you wash your hands?" I was like, "No, you're not serious, man." He said, "No, yeah, have you not been watching the news?" I was like, "No, you're joking." He said, "Honestly, you got to be careful about this stuff." And I thought he was joking, but he's been deadly serious. He's not gone to the gym. I think this plays on the point that Daniel was saying earlier. It's this fear-mongering, especially to a population who, I was explaining to him, the media is built based on clicks, views, all of this stuff. So they're not going to tell you on the news. The headline isn't going to be more people die from flu in 2020 so far than coronavirus. Because that doesn't get anyone's attention.
So one way people should look at it, and sure, by the way, that was what you're going to tell me, innit? That joke. yeah, okay. One way people should kind of there's also a sense of like snapping into reality. It's like, I know we've spoken a lot about time is limited. You never know when your time's up. Now, I may not make it to 90, but I don't think I'm going to go out with coronavirus. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's not like we shouldn't. Look at this thing. Like,
The thing
don't
is,
be so
like,
sure.
But the thing is,
Don't
like,
speak stuff into existence.
it's like flu.
No, but
You get flu, you shake it off. If you're young and haven't got any pre-existing respiratory issues or infections, you're gonna shake it off. They're not. The thing is, the media aren't reporting of the cases where people have got coronavirus and now they're fine. Where do you hear that story? They don't say that. They just say go to
There was
quarantine.
a release
14
today
days.
about 89-year-old woman. She was the oldest woman to recover from coronavirus. So
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah,
But Peter, are you actually going to book a holiday or not?
Yeah, I'm looking into it.
Okay, when are you looking to go?
Probably like mid-April, before Ramadan starts.
Okay, and Olu, how about on your side?
I ain't looking to book. I ain't looking to book any holiday. Initially, I was looking to. So I set a target this year. Like I tried to travel every month, even if it's a short weekend trip. And I'm like, I can keep myself at home. I can travel around the UK, but
Why? You fearful?
Because no, there's not even about a fearful aspect of it. Is one just being smart, and I don't even need to think about myself. If I travel somewhere and I go back home to my parents, right? Potentially, I could be putting them at risk. Potentially, I could be putting friends who might have some sort of or previous.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
And then also, when you do travel to these places, what do you expect to see there? All the excursions and stuff are going to be closed because of the fear factor. So you're going to travel to somewhere that most places are going to be
because there's less tourists around.
Just going to a beach, cuz. But I hear what you're saying. No, I do hear what you're saying.
But no, if you like, obviously, if you're traveling to certain places like Barbados and Dubai and stuff like that, which haven't really been impacted by it, yeah, still feel free. But if you're planning to go to somewhere like Italy or China, right,
then
you're not gonna. One is stupid. I think personally, if you want to travel there, you're putting yourself and other people in danger. And then secondly, there's not going to be much to do there. So
it's funny because even at work, the stuff that's going on at work in terms of trying to navigate this and to contain it, and if anyone's feeling unwell, because last week there was a case of someone in HSBC who was confirmed to have coronavirus. And coincidentally, the day before, 3 people in my department were at HSBC's office for a client meeting. And when that came out, they were actually out of the office for someone's leaving presentation something, and then they got a call and said, "Yeah, from HR, you can't come back into the office."
Oh,
they have to self.
My bag's in the building. My bag's in the building.
Yeah, so one person's like, "What do you mean? I'm already in the lift." So they got their stuff. And left. But it's just. I know, of course, work.
Our workplace sent out the same email.
They have to be responsible. They have to obviously. You will see it as overreacting, but they're just being responsible. Because imagine if there was an instance where it just happened to be that one person had an interaction or touched the surface. But for me, I see a lot of overreaction, and there's a lot of business continuity happening in the event of the offices being shut down, people remote work remotely. And all these different things being in place, which is fine. And I think business continuity should be done periodically anyway, because we never know what could happen. But I just see a lot of fear mongering and people getting very nervous and agitated. But there's also within this opportunities. So a friend of mine, we were talking last Wednesday about this, and he said, "Oh, yeah, all of this, blah blah blah." And he said, "Actually, I'm gonna come up with my own antibac, hand sanitizer." So Thursday morning, he sent me a picture of the product.
I heard. I think these. I was talking. It's funny. 2 things. One, I had a meeting with a property investor. So we're sitting down catching up, and it's funny when we started to talking, he started coughing, and I looked at him and I was like,
"You cool, big man?"
What?
Has he intentionally?
No, he's doing it on purpose. That's what he's not doing. Oh,
his internet's poor.
You froze before you said anything.
He froze on good timing. Well, on
what did I?
You literally you said he coughed and then.
No. Yeah. So but the other thing I'm going to say was he mentioned that I think these hand sanitizers were probably priced at £1. Now people are basically selling them for £25 a bottle.
Yeah,
but you can make your own one, and for them to be effective, they need to be over 60% alcohol. Otherwise, they're ineffective. So you can make your own one by using aloe vera, some rubbing alcohol, maybe some essential oils or fragrance that you like, and you mix them, and then you've basically got your own hand sanitizer. But people are now obviously being stupid and going and spending on buying inflated priced hand sanitizer.
No, for sure.
That's their
No, and Daniel, you mentioned before. Do you know the strategy in which the health specialists are taking to sort of resolve coronavirus?
Well, check
Because
on
there's a four-stage strategy that they're going with.
I think the UK now are in containment stage. I think that was announced today.
Exactly.
They're in containment. I think
Go on, big man.
I think New York declared a state of emergency.
They did.
Yeah.
Shit, this I didn't know.
Yeah, so I think every government,
What about Iran, cuz? What about Iran?
So they've got the 4 stages, which is like you mentioned, the containment. Then they've got the stage where they try to delay it. So you'll see places like Italy where they said schools are closed.
16 million people are under.
I think all all football games are even cancelled as well until like
Spain as well. So that's on the delay areas where you just try to delay as much as you can. So don't create forums where people can meet and spread it. And then you have the research stage where it's just trying to understand the virus even more. And then the final stage, which is sort of to mitigate. So mitigate is the time where you start.
I have a question. What do you think if this prolongs? The Euros is coming up this year, the Olympics in Japan. In Japan, people are saying they might be behind closed doors. Advertising companies, sponsorships, all are going to be impacted. So when you think about the wider picture, I know whether this is just being dominated by the media. The more the media report it, the more it's going to have a knock-on effect in terms of business sales, quarter-end earnings.
It's like
and then
end of the world, cuz.
Yeah, for those who have bought like sports tickets or concert tickets or these big communal areas or entertainment tickets, what's going to happen? Because I see that's
where the insurance companies come in, right?
No, but I feel that there's going to be a big impact on us as consumers and just the way we would essentially live. This is changing the way we live because people are becoming more recluse. They're staying in their home. They're being very That's the way they go, what they do. Yeah, and it's having a big impact because what people don't understand is these, for example, clothing companies. Okay, they have a bad quarter. What's going to happen next quarter or in a year's time? They're going to inflate their prices to try and compensate or make up for those losses.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a situation where, sadly to say, right, the strong companies will survive and some companies will unfortunately go bust and lots of people will lose their jobs. The economy will crash in certain ways. We've seen it with Flybe, right?
But no, Flybe, they can't point the finger at coronavirus.
Yeah,
they're waiting problems.
You're already in problems, but I'm saying that added additional pressure, which to a point where you couldn't. You don't have enough cash. You don't have enough cash in your business to survive. That's going to be the same with so many different companies. We're going to see even with the oil industry right now, the oil prices drop because of Russia and Saudi, right? You're going to find a lot of oil suppliers are going to go bust because they can't afford to produce at such cheap prices. So
that probably also translate into say Amazon Prime deliveries or delivery services, couriers.
The difference with Amazon,
DHL, because
they can afford those spikes. They've got enough cash to burn.
But you're forgetting that if people are now going to start reducing human interaction, what's the delivery man going to do? Is he going to come drop it on the floor with rubber gloves? Get off. You need to sign. Oh, here you go. Slip it through. Sign back. Pass it back. What's going to happen?
No, we don't know to what sort of extent it'll get to, right? We don't know to where.
I think
it's a good time to have your money in real estate.
Okay.
But then also, I reckon, all the stock market and declines, etc., that have happened. I think a lot of it so far, even though the declines have been massive, a lot of it has probably been washing out all of the fake gains that have happened over the last 12 to 18 months anyway. So I think the real question would be, by the time this episode gets released, has it gone further down than where the market was today? Because that's when you're in the territory where it's like, okay, really, some businesses are going to get completely creamed. And I think especially our generation, the ones that have invested in shares, we've had friends that listen to this podcast, have invested in ETFs, all of this stuff. And we actually had this conversation last week where a lot of the gains that they've received over the last 12, 18 months has actually been completely wiped out.
Pensions, funds.
And all of this, and it has a knock-on effect. And what would be interesting is if this real estate's still right. This man-made recession to a certain extent, building on the media and all of that, what effect that will have on everything else? Because interest rates can't really get any lower.
They cut them in the US last week. Treasuries are low. Germany all-time
But
lows.
even if they were to reduce it, they can reduce it by maybe what, like 2-3%. Last time when the last recession happened, it was around 5%, I think, and now it dropped to 0.25. If it happens again, then they don't have that as an option. So honestly, it would just be very interesting to see. I think people of our generation haven't been punched in the face like this before financially. The ones that have invested, so we've got to see how it goes.
But Shua, what I would say, Shua, to that is, when you say punch in the face, I see it more as an opportunity, right?
Yes,
we weren't old enough to invest in the last financial crisis, right? And we're at the perfect age, right? Where we're 30 years old. We don't need to retire, or we're not clearing out our pension, etc. So if you've got cash liquid, right, this is the perfect time for you to be getting in the game.
If you know what you're doing.
Advantages of those opportunities.
Yeah, you still got to know what you're doing. Yeah, it's true.
No, you need to know what you're doing for sure.
You end up buying a stock and it keeps on going down. Look.
No.
And you hold on to it.
You hold on to it. Like I'm telling you.
No,
even hit the bottom yet.
You definitely need to do
Whole
what
company tanks, all money gone.
what you're doing. And again, this is no financial advice. Do your own personal research.
But Olu, you're wearing a turtleneck.
Olu said invest in.
You're wearing a turtleneck. This must be financial advice.
I'm telling you.
I've been doing a lot of research, right, to see, okay, what are some of these.
Who you investing in? Let's talk. Where's your money going? Whoa. Where's your money going? Let's talk, baby.
So places I've invested.
No, Olu, he's trying to get free advice.
This is no financial advice.
I don't.
If you decide to invest, you're doing that.
I don't believe in the stock market. I'm only about real estate.
And I only trust people with turtlenecks.
No, like Warren Buffett, like he invested recently in Delta. He's increased his stake and position in Delta. I asked the question, is it a worse company today than it was before because of coronavirus or people not traveling that much? Maybe not. Do you think it's going to be a better company in 10, 20 years' time? That's all of the decisions you need to make, and you need to do your evaluation.
So actually, Oli, I completely agree with what you're saying, especially the opportunity. But when I say punched in the face, in the sense that, say, if people had invested 10 years ago, they've just seen like just the continuous up. So they haven't emotionally had to deal with the red. Some of them maybe didn't invest in cryptocurrency where it was like overnight, right? So for those guys, and we've had conversations with people they've said as well, this is the first time they've experienced declines to this level. I mean, the US stock exchange today actually put the whole thing on pause for 15 minutes because the decline was so much. So a lot of people around that age, our age, haven't experienced that. Emotionally, it takes a toll on them. But you're right. Overall, if you've got money on the side, you can make it. You can invest.
What do you say? The New York Stock Exchange did what? They paused the market
because it declined. I think as considerably as
trading this afternoon.
Yeah, if it goes down more than 7 or 8% in a particular time frame, they completely stop trading on the market for 15 minutes to allow the market to take a breather and cool down. I don't think that's ever happened before in history, even in 2008.
There's been flash crashes,
but never to that extent, right?
But not the whole market. But the thing is, the market today, like the FTSE dropped. It was a 3-year low. The Dow also dropped, but that's because of the oil price.
Oil price is also lost. Today.
Have you a particular company's share price went from 95 francs to 40. Today it was around 78, 79 francs, big man.
But
it's not like
some of our competitors.
I was trying to not say the name. Bloody
Why not though? My stock went down, B. What do you mean? It's so easy for you to say. You know what I'm saying? But I've logged into my account and the whole thing just been wiped.
But sure, back to your point about back to your point of saying that some of your people that you know, or there are obviously people out there have been right on the 10-year high.
Yeah.
The whole point of investing and investing is the market. Know when to go in, know when to get out.
Yeah. Simple. But I think it's easy. I think it's easier for us to say when, like, I haven't made a significant hit in my share because I'm not looking at it kind of on a 1 to 2 year basis. I've literally put money in it and I've just left it in there. But if you're someone who's really looking at it all the time,
then I would say that you're in the wrong financial instrument.
Wrong sport.
Once they get
if you're looking for it for immediate increase, right, or up and down every single day, then you're investing it incorrectly, right? If you're looking for more the long term and you can leave it there for 10, 20 years,
Jeez.
This is the time to get involved.
I don't need it. I don't need it for another 24 months. It should once vaccination comes in, another 24
You
months.
can't have a vaccination for a virus, P. It's like influenza. There's no vaccination.
Seriously.
So if everyone's wondering the face that P is put in, you just realize that he's lost.
You can't
Lot
cure
of
a virus. You can't cure a virus. My lasting remarks would be,
Yeah, go on.
Yo, I'm losing 76, bro. Money is getting wiped. Oh my days. Now it's actually into the tens of thousands.
Let's wrap up.
my final remarks would be, the media shouldn't report on medical issues they're not experts in.
Cool.
And for any additional information, check out World Health Organization. Stay up to date there.
Mine is be smart. There's no need for you to get into any avoidable danger. So I wouldn't advise you to travel to certain places. Keep your family safe. You might have a strong immune system, but be cautious about your family, your parents, and your friends. And my last remark would be try to take away the emotional connection. And remember, there's opportunities in crisis, and there's opportunity in market growth. So you can make money when it increases, and you can make money when it drops. So do your research, get a financial advisor, and
with turtleneck.
With a turtleneck, and make and make some investments.
It's looking mad. Oh my days.
What's it closing?
Pete, while Pete's thinking, so my last piece of advice is I'm actually not going to give you advice. I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm flying to London this weekend to see my family. I've got a trip planned to go to Dubai because it was very good prices. I'm trying to be as healthy as I can. I wash my hands all the time, so I'm good. And I'm just trying to make the most of this and live my best life. Boom. Pete, go ahead.
I won't see you when you're back.
Maybe this might be my last episode, guys. Pete, go ahead. What's your last any advice around coronavirus? Apart from don't look at share prices at this time.
Invest in real estate.
So, guys, thank you all for listening to episode 46. Remember, one quote: the Japanese word crisis
76
says danger and opportunity. So, in a time of crisis, what do you look at? Danger or opportunity? Stay blessed, stay tuned. See you next time.
Boom. Take flight.
Take off, take flight with you. For we never fly, but we're